Asteroid of fear.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Men of the House podcast. And it is Friday night, getting ready to record, edit, upload, and clip this Caregiving Chronicles episode. So, welcome back everybody. I hope you had a great week. As for me, I've had a busy week. Very busy. So, let's think about where we left off. Monday, we did a little weekend recap about the birthday party. Wednesday, we had my story, the Navy years. And kind of on that note, I'm probably one of the only people who intentionally failed out of Navy nuclear power school and still ended up with a full scholarship. Yeah. All right. Let me adjust this mic here a little bit. So, let's see. Kicking off this episode of the Caregiving Chronicles. I don't even know what episode of the Caregiving Chronicles this is, but the Caregiving Chronicles have kind of expanded, and I will explain. But this week, we had a pretty chill week, pretty relaxed for the most part. In terms of Mr. Buck, we did not have any appointments, although we did have PT and OT and made it through that. But this was kind of one of those weird weeks where my wife didn't do her other job as much, or some people called in. She had some clients who were sick and whatnot, and therefore she didn't have to do as much of that. But in turn, so she spent more time here, which freed me up to do some things we've needed to get done. But it's also been busy because this is the last week of school before Thanksgiving break, and my daughter was doing kind of backstage stuff for Alice in Wonderland play that they're doing at school. And so, like every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, she's staying until 6 p.m. for rehearsals and practice. And they had to play 2 shows yesterday, 2 shows today, like one in the lunchtime hours, one in the evening hours. So I just got back from getting her, but that has made for some late evenings. Oh yeah, that's where we were. That's where we were. Forgot about that. Yeah, Sunday night I was up till my wife and I were up putting my daughter's vanity together until midnight. And so I finally got to bed about 1:30 Sunday night. And Monday, while she was at school, I finished it up and got all the drawers, got all the slides mounted on the drawers, got the drawers in. Of course, not before realizing, I guess, when we put the sliding rails into the cubbies initially, we put right rights instead of right lefts, and so when I went to put the drawers in, that did not work, and thankfully, I didn't have to take apart the whole vanity to do it, but it wasn't the best working position. It was a pretty tight little area, and trying to get in there with a little ratchet screwdriver type of thing, and some even left-handed, awkward positions, but I got it done, thankfully. So that was about a 7-hour project. I'd say about 4 hours Sunday night, 3 hours on Monday. I got that finished, and the daughter was happy, which makes me happy. And one of the other nights we had to go pick out a chair on the day that she didn't have rehearsals. I told her I could pick her up early, which I did, and we went shopping for a chair. Chairs aren't cheap either. $100 for a white chair. It looks like half a seashell and matches the color of her vanity. But yeah, with my wife kind of not, having some clients who called out, couldn't do whatever was going on, we ended up, a little dust out there. She ended up coming back some of the days, and I ended up taking the van and getting that window fixed, which took a little bit because there was like two things that were going on there. It got cold this week. It was like 38 this morning. And so it's been nippy. And I was kind of worried whenever this whole thing happened. We've kind of been between rain and cold weather. I'm like, great, we need to pick the next like 70-degree day, or 60s, because we're going to have to drive it to the window repair place with the window down because it doesn't work, stuck in the door. So yeah, I didn't want it to be cold, didn't want it to be raining. It was parked in the garage until then, but I was able to go get that taken care of and thrilled to get that done. Oh, looks like one of my lights just came on a little bit. Yeah, my lighting's a little different too because my little ring cam light that I use and keep clipped on my desktop, back little clippy thing and spring broke, and so it's just kind of hanging over here. Although I do have a lamp, a standing ring light that I have on one side of me, but that other one being a USB, sometimes it just kind of does its thing and has a moment where it brightens up like it just did. But yeah, I was kind of excited to get the van window repaired, so now we have that, and my wife can have all of her stuff because we had tons of boxes and things from the vanity we had to drop off at a dumpster. And it's getting near that time of year where Christmas is coming up, and my wife needs the van to go to storage and grab gifts that she's been shopping for so she can wrap and do all that stuff. So yeah, stoked to get that done. Not stoked about the $175 it costs, but nonetheless, the van is put back together. It doesn't look like a hot mess with an open pane on the inside, open door panel, wires, all kinds of stuff. Having to open it from the outside, all janky like. Yeah, one thing off the list. That took several hours. And then there was another day. I'm trying to think. The days have been long. Uh, yeah, I think I told you guys about the nurse coming, home health nurse coming late one night. The car wouldn't start. I had to jump it. And on the way back from my daughter's birthday party, we had a couple of different people tell us that our tail lights were out on the vehicle we just bought. And we made it an hour drive roughly without getting pulled over because that was my biggest concern. And kind of had to park the car and go get a third vehicle from where we originally lived so we could have that one because yeah, we had one with no window, one with no tail lights, or yeah, so it could be driven during the day but just not in the evening. However, as everybody knows, with daylight savings, when we take my daughter to school it's now dark, so yeah. And when we pick her up on those 6 o'clock days, and typically she's gonna probably want to do something on those early days like when we went shopping, um, yeah, it's gonna be dark. So yeah, we had to have a third vehicle around. But I was able to go and get that taken care of. Good old O'Reilly's. Because I'm not a very mechanical person. I was like, okay, I don't know. Is it bulbs? Is it a fuse? What's the scoop here? And the Honda CRV wasn't the easiest thing to access the bulbs. Um, but thankfully, the dude at O'Reilly's hooked me up and was like, did some stuff on the computer. It was like, oh, you got two bulbs each on each side. It could be this or it could be that. Let's go out and check a few things. And, typically I don't guess all four lights, it would be odd for them all to go out at once. So he's like, it's probably a fuse. And I didn't know, but we had two fuse boxes, one under the hood, one under the dash. And, it doesn't really say rear tail lights. I had to YouTube University, Google my way through this because they call it something different, I believe. And then, usually underneath the fuse box cover, there's usually like a little diagram telling you what each one is. And the under the dash one didn't have that. But I think, they said something like maybe it was a 10A fuse or a 7.5. So then we could start pulling all the 7.5s and checking them out, seeing if they were blown. And um, he found the one under the dash that was blown. So, about a $5 fix. I had to buy a little. Of course, they don't sell one single fuse of that size. They sell a packet that was $5, but thankfully only $5. And he hooked that up for me. And in return, because, that's not my skill set, I gave him a $10 gift card to a restaurant, a local restaurant that's not too bad. I got it back when I was Ubering. They were giving all the Uber drivers like $10 gift cards. And so I was like, hey, I haven't used it. And I don't really go there that often. There's other place I'd rather get my tacos. But yeah, hooked him up with that just as a little thank you for going through all that riffraff, you know. But that's exactly why I went there. It's like, hey, they're the ones who work here. They know about cars and shit. So I do not. If you ask me about podcasting, I'd probably know. There's a lot of things I know a lot of shit about, but cars, construction, building shit, not my thing. I'm sure I could learn. Um, I do pride myself on feeling like I could learn about anything, but I would have to put in the reps. And that kind of goes back to, my dad being like, "Hey, your body's going to give out before your brain. Choose something more cerebral, educational. This manual labor stuff is going to be difficult when you get old." So yeah, he never taught me, never encouraged it because he did construction and I don't basic mechanic, but of course basic in terms of older cars, 60s, 70s, 80s, before everything was electronic and you could actually work on cars. So yeah, I got that taken care of. And what is today? Today is Friday. Oh, so yesterday they had a play, which put my wife home late, for her to go see that, bring my daughter back. So yeah, it's been Buck and I hanging out, and he got up early one day, and we had the nurse come. We've had OT, PT twice, and so I would say it was a pretty eventful week. Although I spent a lot of time running around, getting things fixed, um, taking care of different errands that have to be taken care of when my wife is here. So in terms of how my week looked in tracking habits, it still looked good. I never dipped below 80%. There was a few things I didn't get a couple of days, maybe like some studying or this or that, the other. But, the trade off was I got all this other shit that had been piling up. and storing space in the back of my mind, taking care of stuff that needed to be done on warmer, not rainy, sunnier daytime days. Um, so yeah, got to hang out with my dad, visit with him. And then, of course, like I said, the Caregiving Chronicles kind of expanding in that, my dad lives in a 55 and older community, and one of the gentlemen who lives there is in dialysis, has no fingers, is in a motorized wheelchair, you know, diabetic, all that stuff. So he has trouble. He was in a dialysis rehab, unable to transfer himself, this and that, the other. And we worked on getting him like a big lift installed in his home that will pick him up out of his bed, put him in his chair. However, he doesn't transfer well, for one, and then for two, he didn't have fingers and whatnot, and can't stand up, anything like that. So he has to be changed and cleaned daily, a couple times a day. So, sometimes my dad will go down there and do it. He gives the college try, but he's just not very skilled at it, I guess you could say. He hasn't changed diapers in 48 years. And from what my mom said, I don't think he changed mine very much. So, yeah, he's way out of practice. And then not only that, though, for a while it was, I guess when they put his hospital bed together, they didn't put the part that lifts it vertically. And therefore, you're like hunched over at knee, a little higher than knee, maybe thigh-ish level. And yeah, doing that is horrible on your back. Such a pain. Yeah, so like let's say this morning, I mean, I was there at 6 a.m. getting him ready because he has to get up, he has to be changed, his pull up, his clothes sometimes because sometimes they get jacked up. Yeah, maybe the dialysis equals like Montezuma's revenge because it is just every day, every morning. You kind of know you're walking into a semi disaster, I guess you could say. Um, but, you know, we're the only ones offering to do it. So we do it. But yeah, so there's 6 this morning, and then it's like I get him ready, walk his dog. Uh, his dog actually shit in the hallway. I didn't turn the light on, and I stepped in dog shit. So I was like, I had to clean that, clean my shoes, take him for a walk, try to walk through wet grass. And even though I used wipes and whatnot to, you know, make sure the bottom of my shoes had natural dirt versus natural shit. But yeah, every day is, about 2 trips there, one in the morning and one in the evening at least, because most of the time he's in dialysis during the day, or if his wound care nurse comes or something like that, she'll handle the changing part. So we might get out of it for like a day, but he's the gentleman we purchased the Honda from because he can no longer drive, and got him out from under the payment. He just has to pay the balance, and it's worth twice that. So we got a good deal, low mileage, all that jazz. Um, so yeah, it's mutually beneficial, but he didn't have any family or anything like that or anyone to help him. So we've been doing that. And I don't know. I think I go back to some of the thoughts I had maybe in the last episode where I had this consideration of the how difficult that must be, whether you're aging like Buck or you're just in a place with you can't walk, you can't stand, you can't transfer because you've been in rehab so long and you're weak. Dialysis makes you weak, and you can't even sit on a toilet. You can't do any of that. And now you have to rely on others to change you, clean you. Once he gets in his chair, he's fine. But, typically once he gets like in the bed in the evening and changed, he's kind of there till somebody the next morning comes. So he has like a little nightstand table thing that, he's got a couple of grabbers and he gets water and, some snacks and whatnot, and kind of just remains there until my wife or I come in the morning. So, yeah, it's given me a lot of thought of how difficult that's got to be from being an independent person. I mean, I think of all the things I did today. I mean, by 9 a.m., I had done so much, you know, waking up at 4, working on my list, working on marketing stuff, like looking at design images and whatnot, being over there at 6, changing him, walking the dog, uh, stopping and getting some stuff for the house, so I could get back and get my wife and daughter out of here by like 7:20. And then once they left, it was, back on to checking boxes, doing my thing, doing some Udemy courses. So by 9, man, I'd already put in all the work. Makes for a long day. But just to think about, man, if you had no fingers, if you couldn't go to the bathroom on your own, which is the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. That's what wakes me up, having to go to the bathroom. It's my cue. It's time to get up, mofo. It's my natural cue. I guess you can say I'm regular. But imagine if just those things you could not do. You could not get from your bed to standing or a chair to even go anywhere. Um, I mean, he's got the lift, but you don't want to go from your bed to a lift in a shitty diaper. And then, of course, half the time it's halfway falling off, falling out, because he tries to pull down the front so he can pee and doesn't get down all the way and either pees on himself, but then he can't pull the pull up back on. And that means when he goes number 2, it goes way down and gets everywhere, and then all of a sudden it's inside the shorts, and then of course when you try to take a pull up in shorts off, then it's on the ankles, and it just becomes a fucking hot mess. I mean, you're throwing chucks down, and then after all that, you gotta take off the bed cover, you gotta do laundry, remake the bed. It is just, it's a lot of work. And so I told him, don't try to use a jug. Just because you can't pull it back up, you're creating more work for me. You're creating more work and more unsanitarianness. Not really a word, but you know what I'm saying. It's less sanitary. You're making it by doing this. You're not helping yourself and you're not helping me. Just keep it all in the diaper so it's all there. And then you're not pissing all over the bed. You're not laying in it. Nothing has to be washed, etc., etc. Help me to help you. Yeah, that's kind of how it's expanded, how it's been going. Busy. Uh, hmm, Lots of thoughts. But, what are you going to do? You just so happen to know us. I mean, you know, we get paid somewhat for it, but I mean, that's not why we do it, obviously, because I can guarantee you it's not what a nurse makes in a hospital. Then again, we're not giving injections, but we do arrange daily, weekly meds and laundry and cooking and cleaning and changing, you know, changing 4 to 6 diapers a day between two people, two locations. Yeah. Laundry, baths, um, getting supplies. Yeah, that's what it was. I had to go and get, make sure you go and get butt paste and different things like that. And then got to withdraw some cash, change that over into quarters and singles so he can take, the bus to dialysis. I mean, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff. And not counting, you got to remember one of us has to be here at all times because this one's a 24/7. So, you know, whether you go there or stay here, you're kind of doing the same thing. Sometimes one is worse than the other, but regardless, you still end up with the still changing someone. It's just the way it is. But hey, this is what we do, at least for now. Um, this came to us. We were asked to do it, called upon to do it. So we're doing it. Yeah, it's been all right. I mean, there's a satisfaction of knowing that you're doing something that somebody really needs. And, these are people who know us as well. So it's not like a stranger. It's not like being in rehab or having some stranger come and care for you and wipe your booty, lift up your nutsack, and put some anti-chafing cream and whatnot on it. Yeah, I never said when I was a kid, I never had a dream of being 48 and getting paid to touch other men's peckers. It's a joke, people. Don't get offended. Or do. And if you do, hmm, go listen to something else. But this is real life. This is what happens. And probably at some point in time, many of you will be in the same situation, whether or not it's with your parents, a loved one, could be a spouse, could be a partner. But more than likely, you're going to be wiping someone's butt, maybe grabbing their sack and doing that thing. But that's life. And one day we all might be on the receiving end of it, trying to, you know, not develop any karmic debt here, trying to put karma on the good side. So hopefully somebody takes care of me if I'm ever in that state. But again, like I said, one of the big things for me has been the question of, man, do you want to be in that state? Do you want to live so long that this is what you have to look forward to? But I think I've also told a story of, being a child and looking at people going into the hospital, people in wheelchairs and whatnot, and they have the will to live. They want to live. They want to hold on, no matter how hard things are. I'm sure people with cancer have the same thing, no matter how shitty they feel, how hard it is. Maybe because death is the unknown, being alive is definitely better than being dead. And they're going to hold on to that no matter what, regardless of what it takes, no matter how vulnerable or embarrassed you have to feel, um, to be dependent on somebody to wipe your beehole, you know? Look at your most intimate parts, scrub them down, all that stuff. I know nobody likes to think about that, but, you know, it's, we all get the same end. Sometimes too soon, sometimes too late, but none of us are getting out alive. We all get the same ending. That's that whole thing of there's classes and classes of people and money and tax brackets, and people think, well, I'm better than you because I make more money or I have this job, blah, blah, blah. Guess what, bitch? You're gonna die just like the rest of us. So, get off your high horse, off your pedestal. Stop thinking you're better than everyone for a moment. Nah. Realize that we're more alike than we aren't. I mean, you know, and I don't have anything against money or people with it, as long as you use it for good. But hey, just for instance, yeah, look at Diddy. I mean, people probably looked at him and was like, "Oh, he's got it all. I'd like to have his life." Well, little did you know he's a piece of shit. Yeah. Well, I always said if I had money, I'll just try to do good with it and not be a piece of shit and not act better than people, not act entitled, not think you're above the law. Um, because that's how the fuck you end up in prison, bitch. Exactly. All the money in the world ain't gonna do you a fucking lick of good sitting behind bars 23 hours a day, maybe with a celly, maybe not. Yeah. But there's people like him with money, without money. I'm sure he's not the only one. A bunch of fucking freaks roaming around out there. Psychological problems and money. Probably the worst fucking combination. I digress. It's not very caregiving of me, but it was more to get the point across. That point of, not judging others by what they have or don't have, but also understanding that we all get the same end. And the moment you're doing some bullshit, thinking you're better than other people, thinking that you can get away with it, guess what? I don't know, what was it, 20 years ago, 15 years ago? Shit caught up with him now, just like Bill Cosby. Which sucks, because I used to love The Cosby Show. My wife was pregnant. We used to watch it all the time, because we both worked nights, and so on our nights off, we would watch a Cosby Show at like 1, 2 in the morning. It was such a great, wholesome show. The show, it is. And of course, all this shit comes out, and yeah. People are fucked up. That's why I am who I am. Try to be the person I try to be. Try to do something good and not for money. I mean, if I can make money, if that's the byproduct of it, then good. But, I hope when I have money one day that I just carry forward the same generosity that I have now. It's like some people, depending on what you have, some people can give money, some people can give time, some people can give resources. Right now, what I have are time and the resources that and skills that I've developed over the years. That's what I have to give. I have some money. I mean, I could loan you $20 if you needed it, maybe 100, but you know, we're talking 10,000 now. I don't have that kind of money. Not yet. But it'll come one day. I'm not too worried about it. I think for me, when I look back at everything as a whole, I think of it as I needed to be in a certain place mentally, spiritually, emotionally to understand that when I'm blessed with additional resources that I'm in a place that I don't end up being like Diddy or a lot of assholes out there with money. But then instead, I'm generous, thoughtful, giving, caring, kind, compassionate, that I'm all the same things I try to be, whether I have money or not. And so, yeah, I think I needed that self identity piece to ensure I don't turn into a disaster when good things happen and things come to fruition. So, but yeah, outside of that, today was the last day of school before Thanksgiving break. So, next week should be interesting. Be interested to see what kind of updates we're going to have over the weekend, but school is out for a week. So, next week, that means no more getting the daughter to school, no more homework, no more worrying about that kind of bedtime, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, till my wife and daughter go out of town to visit family, and I'll be staying here with Buck. It'll be me and him. So, no assistance from the wife. Just a couple of dudes rolling solo. I won't be able to leave him, so I won't be able to go and do the other gentleman. But I'm sure my dad will be doing that. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some things done, get caught up, make sure I have everything because my wife will probably go out of town for 4 or 5 days. My wife and daughter, which I'll miss them. So I'll be diving deep into that'll mean all these days of not leaving the house or compound, but, you know, checking my boxes, doing my thing, on routine, recording episodes, working on your peakperformancepartner.com, all that. Reading, yeah. Still got book club. Oh, the tricky thing will be exercise. But he knows when he's awake, I can tell him, hey, I'm going for a walk. Today was the first day. I mean, my wife was here, but she's sick. So she was laying in the other room and she doesn't want to expose him to sickness. So, but yeah, if I'm like, hey, I'm going to go for a walk, he's awake, he does his thing, then we're good to go. So he's actually the one that kind of told me to do that as opposed to waiting for my wife all the time. So that's going to allow me to get earlier workouts. And yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. building trust, where he trusts me, but also I trust him that he's going to be okay. Because, yeah, not on my watch. I don't want to leave and something happens. So as long as he's understanding and coherent enough and says, okay, it's never going to be more than 40, 50 minutes. And I pass by the house because it's a gated community and neighborhood and nothing but circles. So, yeah, if he needs me, I can be here quickly. But, yeah, I'll be coming. I think this one right here is 98. Monday will be 99. And Wednesday, another installment of my story. Probably the college years. That'll be episode 100. So, ooh, yeah. And then Friday will be 101, or the next Saturday. Yeah, that's how it goes. You hit the mark, you hit the goal or the short-term goal, milestone. Celebrate it a little. I celebrated at Thanksgiving by pigging out, and then yeah, you keep going, 101, regardless of if it stays the men of the house or becomes your peak performance partner podcast. Maybe I do both. I have no clue at the moment. Just winging it, figuring out as I go. It evolves as it goes, just like this Caregiving Chronicles, my journey, all these things. The important thing is I'm here, you're here. You're getting to hear me converse. I try to think of what it is when I listen to a podcast. What it is I like about it. I like the conversation, the thoughts, the words, making it the connection with the person that I'm listening to. So, anywho, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and make sure if you're traveling, be safe, go get all your stuff done, be kind to each other. It is Thanksgiving week. You got kiddos out of school, try to enjoy them. Try not to let the pace of everything and kids being out of school and family coming in, try not to let it be a downer. Sometimes these are the only people you got. Maybe you don't see them often. Keep it positive. Remember, they're probably going through some shit too. Don't argue about dumb shit. We're not here trying to change people. We're just here trying to fellowship and give thanks for the people in our life. So, I always say, go out and be the person that you would want to meet. Until next time. Later.
Hey, go.